What's your favorite API to work with?
Twitter. Twitter API is a great example of how a good public-facing API should be built.
I love the Twitter API as well. Twitter API is really good.
Favorite APIs is the Twitter API.
Today, my favorite API is Twitter.
What does make a good API?
A good API needs to be very well documented and easy to use.
What gets developers bored?
Reading documentation. So it needs to be good, but also needs to be short.
When a developer looks at an API, they should be able to get going really fast without having to do a lot of work. In fact, I almost like to think that when you publish an API, if a developer can use it without having to read any documentation, you've done your job well.
Simple.
Okay.
Make it simple, you know.
Okay.
Make it so a guy like me can figure out, you know, what does that thing do and how do I do it, and figure out how to make it work.
So what do you think gets developer excited?
Money.
Free phones a lot of the time.
I think the myth by a lot of non-developers are that developers are motivated by money. And I think developers are really motivated more by fame, fame of their own, credibility, their own technical chops, their own, ability to show the world that they're smart and they know what's going on.
There's a large proportion of developers who probably want to do good for the world in lots of ways. It's not necessarily all about making money, but building businesses out of doing good for the world, I think is a good positive thing.
You can have an app on your app store or marketplace and you can make money off it. I think traditionally a lot of developers were excited by creating something cool and funky, but now developers want to create something cool and funky with the promise of making money through a giant distribution.
Every developer works for himself. Nobody works for a corporation. And these people are hackers, and they can't really be stopped. And they're going to do it anyway. They'd be doing it for free, whether or not they got paid. I would do this for free. I would just keep doing it.
And so what's your main fear when you're developing code?
That it won't work for everyone the same way. So that it won't work in everyone's browser, or it just won't work in different languages and stuff like that.
Like compatibility with the release system?
Yeah.
There's always, flexibility and changes along the way. You wrote a whole bunch of code that's supposed to do something, and then you realize you made a mistake.
Spending your heart and soul doing something and not seeing it actually come to fruition, or it having to get muddled down and watered down into something that was less than desirable or less than, I won't say perfect.
Is some 17-year-old kid gonna develop chat roulette in Russia and get 20 million users in 3 months and blow away all my business plans or all my, and make me look like nothing,
What's the biggest pain point when you bring an application to market? When you bring your code and bring it to your users, what's the most difficult?
Awareness. Getting the name out there is probably the most difficult thing, because you can build the best product in the world theoretically, and if nobody ever hears about it, it's not going to go anywhere.
Oh, to get users to use it. I mean, to get users to get to know you. That's a
Discovery?
big issue. Yep, discovery, I would say.
Okay. How do you measure success with developers?
When I'm opening an API, it's a success when there's buzz. It's a success when we get something on Programmable Web or Ajaxian or a couple of the other sites that cover, Mashable sites and services.
So we measure satisfaction. And the other kind of metric is how many people are actively developing or using the API.
We measure success based on the number of people in our community. So we count how many people are in our forums, how often they post, how many apps they've built, and just the general feeling about our platform. We monitor Twitter and Facebook to see what people are saying about us.
Where do you think developers get their inspiration?
A lot of developers get their inspiration from the real world. they walk around and they see something they like, or they see something they don't like that they want to fix. It tends to be very personal.
The opportunity to work on a world-class, cutting-edge project that no one else has ever built, and the opportunity to do that in the company of the very best developers in the world. I mean, those are the things that keep me coming back to work.